Welcome back to Spotlight. I want to welcome my guest, Honorable Madeline Penn,
Yes.
representative for the A District, Junior Minister of Trade
Yes.
and Investment.
Yes.
Yes, and Andy Bickerton, long-term, what you video with video. What was your role there?
I was the founder of it in the BVI and the managing director.
And of course, you had a long-standing history of contribution to sports in the Virgin Islands, and a president now of the Football Association, and doing a major project. That's certainly a fantastic event in the community of the A District, and of course the BVI as a whole. Honorable Penn, give us a little bit quick background about the inception of the stadium.
Well, thank you, Joanka. I think that the stadium came from the backdrop of when I got elected we formed a committee, the Eastern Island Development Committee, where we looked at economic opportunities for a community outside of government and where we could form private-public partnerships to create opportunities within the community. And one of the projects that came back on stream was the football project. It was a project that was presented some years ago. We thought at the time that the time was right for us to look at this project once again to see this viability, if it could still work within our community. We had discussions with Mr. Bickerton and his team, and we started got the ball rolling. We devised a plan to get the project executed. We were able to get the full support from caucus. This public-private partnership is where we have BVI Football Association responsible for the installation of the football pitch, the track, and a netball and volleyball court. And as well as, and government's contribution was the development of the drainage on the Gutsa bypass road and our parking lot facility. So we were able to bring this project to the community. We got buy-in from the community as well as the total support, as I said, from the government. And we're here at the point now where we're off and running, and looking forward to a soon completion of the second phase by late February.
I was hearing something about funding from the International Football Association.
Yeah, I mean, good evening. Yes. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and good evening, the public. Yes, the funding is coming from FIFA, that's the world body of football. In 1998, they started a means of funds available for member associations called GOAL, the GOAL project. Our problem here in the BVI was that the GOAL project required the local association to actually own the property before they would provide the funding to develop it. Obviously in the BVI that's very difficult because there's very little flat ground, and land, as we all know, is very expensive. So as a result of the discussions with the Honourable Penn and other members of government, we were able to, as he says, go into a public-private partnership because we were able to lease land and persuade FIFA that a long-term lease was as good as owning freehold or thereabouts. And in fact, we were given a 25-year lease with a renewable option for 25 years because there's a very significant sum being invested. And we were able to move forward from there, as the Honourable Penn says, with commitment from the government in terms of developing the infrastructure around the facility. So the project is actually being funded by the world body FIFA, but the relationship, the business relationship is with the BVI Football Association and the government. So it's, the money that's being provided is not loans, it's grants. It's a grant. So at the end of it, it means that the community, the BVI community, will have.
So we don't have to pay it back.
No, we don't have to pay.
No. So the BVI community, at the end of it, will have a stadium at East End, a stadium that we can play international football matches on, and at the same time we'll have a 6-lane running track, 400-metre track, and also netball, volleyball court.
Okay. Netball, volleyball, as in basketball, or just netball, strictly netball?
We're looking to do a multi-purpose court that could play all three sports, but the purpose now is to create a home for netball. You know that netball was displaced with the previous project at Greenland, where the court had to be dug up, and we never did replace the court. So we're now looking within this project to be able to create a home for netball once again within the community.
Okay. Now, when we expect the completion of the project?
Shall I take that?
Yeah, you go
Yeah.
ahead.
We completed the filling, substantially completed the filling in September 2015, and we moved straight into obtaining quotations for the actual pitch itself. The pitch is not going to be a grass pitch, it's going to be a synthetic pitch, but of the quality that you can play international games on. So, sorry, I lost that.
Pitch, February, the pitch.
Yeah, so it was put out to tender through FIFA, and then the contract was actually awarded in April. There were hold-ups because there was a presidential election at FIFA, so
Yes.
there were changes going on. So eventually the contract was awarded in April, so if you're looking we finished around September, and by April there was a contract awarded. We lost a fair bit of time there. And then it took 2 or 3 months for FIFA to actually get the contract organised and signed. So we actually had the pitch contractors down here in September, just gone, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they were measuring up and so on and so forth, and they gave us a schedule. So as of next week, we're expecting to see some action on the field. Obviously, it won't be an automatic, digging up and putting down. There's measuring up, and they have to level the field and so on and so forth. But we've been given a completion date probably of early February for the pitch, the lighting, and the irrigation. Drainage.
And what about the other facilities, the netball and other facilities?
Well, for the
The completion in February just for the football pitch.
Just for now.
right, but also the leveling around the football pitch will have taken place. So one of the things that's up in the air at the moment is what kind of surface is going to be on the track, because the commitment under the Memorandum of Understanding with the government is that there's a surface there that's available for track and field. Initially, National Olympic Committee were looking to raise funding through their international organisation to put in a synthetic track, but then it turned to a grass track. So at the present time, we're not quite sure whether whether they're going to be putting in a grass track or a synthetic. And interestingly, when the engineer was here, as I said 2 or 3 weeks ago, with the pitch contractors, he threw out the suggestion that it might make sense to extend the synthetic surface to the edge of the running track, for the reason then that you could actually use the facility for even more sports, such as cricket, such as rugby. But the problem always is funding. Where would we get the funding to do that? Because that'll be more expensive than having grass there.
Okay. So conceivably, you could have the whole stadium covered with synthetic pitch, and then you do the markings for the track and the markings for the football.
Right. So the synthetic grass that you have on the football field is, as I say, of a quality where you can play international games. For the running track, you don't need the same quality, because obviously the grass is quite thick on the football field, whereas surrounding the football field it would be shallower.
Okay.
So
you're looking at next February for completion of the football pitch,
and then it would be usable.
and then it will be usable, and then we'll still have to build the netball court.
Yes, and the stadium itself,
the
because
stadium.
that is actually in the process of tendering. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just about to put the actual stadium, if you like, out to
So there's
tender.
a seating
seating offices.
bathroom facilities.
Bathroom facilities, office facilities.
Okay. How many seats we expecting to have?
2,000 straight seating, and then we're looking at having a number of corporate boxes as a means to raise revenue. So then we would have to organise a certain number of events every year to interest corporate entities to.
And what events are we thinking of?
Well,
What
beyond,
is our expectations after the completion of the project?
well, from a football point of view, we would be looking at having international games and international tournaments, particularly at the younger ages, like under 13, under 15 boys and girls, and inviting teams in from the region, the Leeward Islands particularly. Because our emphasis up to this point has been having our teams competing regionally, which is very tough because the standard is very high. But once we have our own facility, we're going to pull back and in the immediate future just concentrate on immediate regional.
How does this project and this facility compare regional to other facilities regionally?
Well, we were one of the few associations that hadn't been able to avail ourselves of these funds. So you'll find that most, if not all, of the islands throughout the Caribbean already have a national stadium which they can play sports in, funded by FIFA. In some cases, I think actually built by the Chinese.
What are we expecting in terms of economic development in the community? What's business spin-offs we could look forward to and money revenue generation into the community and into the territory?
As Mr. Bickerton mentioned, I mean, in terms of the international matches, we're looking at this being a key part component of our sports tourism product. We're looking to market to the people in the community, the hotels, the guest houses, and so forth, the restaurants. There's going to be some concession stands that hopefully locals will, within the community, will be able to manage and run those concession stands. There's tremendous opportunities I see in terms of this facility. I don't know if you've been to one of the cricket matches when we have cricket in Greenland, and that's why Andy and I have been telling his coach that we have to get that additional funding to do the synthetic track all around so that cricket could have a proper home to play actually matches. So the cricket crowds are huge when we have cricket in Greenland. So having that ability to play cricket, it will be huge as well economically. I speak to the bakery and the person within the community when we have actual cricket matches, and they said the numbers go up. It's booming during those times. The bakery makes money, the bars in the area makes money, the restaurants make money, and we're taking that to another level now where we're bringing international athletes in to spend time in the BVI, get to know the BVI. We actually had a match here, Andy, some time ago, where we had a team from Europe that came in and spent some time in the BVI, and that was good. That was a good exposure for us in terms of football on that level. So we're hopeful that we're going to really get some real benefit from economic point of view from this stadium within our community.
Okay. Now, you have the surrounding area that appears to need some rehabilitation as well. And so you're going to have a spanking brand new stadium with new facilities, looking really nice stadium and everything in the area, perhaps a cricket pitch as well. How are we going to complement that with the other surrounding sporting facilities there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know what that site looked like prior to us starting this project. It was pretty much a junkyard for old cars, old boats, our old facility. And that was part of the impetus too as well, to sort of rehabilitate the entire Greenland community.
Because I know you cut down the hillside in Greenland opposite the
that's
field.
Parking,
Oh, so that's going to be used
for the parking. We're going to fix that up for the parking.
So that's going to be asphalted or covered.
Yeah.
And so I know you have the basketball court there, and then you have the field. What are we going to be doing with that? How is that going to fit into the sporting environment in that area?
We have to do some rehabilitation work. As you know, I know you go to Greenland regularly to play basketball with the youngsters, keeping them in line and so forth. So I thank you for your community service there, at Joenka. But I think the problem that we have, and we've had this for years, is not a new problem. It's maintenance of our facilities under the government's remit. We in 2011, 2012, spent a tremendous amount of money to get the Greenland field back operational. And it's disheartening to see what has happened in terms of the rundown there. I've had discussion with the Minister of Education in terms of us having to put some money in the budget for rehabilitation of that facility and to have a proper maintenance plan for that facility. And that's always been our Achilles heel as it relates to our facilities throughout the territory. It's something that we have to do a better job at. But I think the addition of this facility, and FIFA is not lack for money. They will be able to to have the maintenance of this facility up and running. I mean, it's just going to be there for additional activities. We're also looking at, we're currently doing some improvement to the road infrastructure in Greenland. So we want to sort of bring in and uplift the entire area as it relates to just not just the facility, but some of the road improvements that we're doing as well.
Because when I was growing up, we had softball as a main sport, and we had a decentralized softball.
Yeah,
as
district leagues, yeah.
District leagues, and Greenland certainly was a major facility for our Atoms and other teams in the area.
Incubator for them, yeah.
And so I was wondering, did FIFA say anything about the environment around the new stadium that they're building, that perhaps we need to upgrade those facilities as well, or that's just an initiative that the government has to take a look at? Yeah,
that's a government initiative. I think we're mindful of the challenges that we have around the immediate area. We have the school, and I think it's going to be a good addition to the school as well. Now they could actually have a proper facility that they could play their sports, run track and so forth, have proper track meets in the community. But we definitely need to put some money and effort into the improvement and enhancement of our existing facilities in that area.
Okay. And that's something that we could expect in the near term, or what are we looking at in terms of a timeline?
I'm a fighter, Edgewenka, and I'm going to fight in the budget process this year to ensure that the Eastern Lalo community is not left out.
You don't put the pressure on you.
It's not left out.
I put the pressure on you.
My shows are not broad for so. But seriously though, I think it's something that's long overdue. I mean, we dropped the ball in terms of maintenance, and we have to get back to what we were with that facility.
All right. Now,
it's almost a chicken and egg situation, isn't it? If from FIFA's point of view, they wouldn't have any comment on that. Their concern would be that the money was used and spent wisely as it should have been. Mm-hmm. But if you put in a stadium like that, and you're bringing sporting events to the British Virgin Islands, to that particular community, the natural progression is that there's going to be a development of commercial business around the stadium, as in Antigua, as in other countries, because we're going to, as the representative said, that there's going to be need for hotel accommodation in the immediate area, because we're going to have international teams. They have to stay in hotels. When we bring the younger teams, we can work with dormitory kind of facilities, and there are a number of guest houses in that area that can facilitate that have already approached us about working in partnership with them. And also, obviously, with the restaurants and so on and so forth, there should be a benefit flowing to the immediate community. So I think,
and I would think that FIFA would want to have the facility sustainable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And part of that whole development of that whole area, from a business and economic standpoint, would certainly aid towards the continuous sustainability of that project.
Yes.
Well, you're almost looking at a sports corridor, aren't you? Because you have the stadium lower down, then now you have the parking up above, and you have the facility where there's basketball and softball. Yeah. I think baseball played up there as well. Yeah. It's starting to become, look like a sports corridor. So I think that'll have a significant impact on the economic benefit for the community.
Now let's talk a little bit before we are following at 8 o'clock, and talk a little bit about football and the BVI. I don't know football to have been a major sport when I was growing up, and I don't know how much of a sport it is now, and certainly this facility will add to its development and its growth in the territory. How is football? What is the status of football in the territory?
Well, when I first came to the islands in 1982, it was very much a small sport, played by probably 6 to 8 teams a year. There was no youth policy. There was no female football. It was just a sport organised to keep young people active at weekends. But with the if you like, the takeoff of FIFA and the money that they're generating for the Football World Cups, which come every 4 years, there suddenly started to be a significant amount of money available to be invested in the sport around the world. As you know, if you watch local television, you'll see football from Spain and Brazil and England and Germany on television. So I came back into the BVIFA in 2011. I'd been president in the earlier years and then pulled out for business reasons. And through BDO, we put money into the Football Association. They had a youth program which I think Kenrick Grant had started in the early 90s with about 250 youngsters in an after-school program. By investing in that, we quickly built it up to over 1,000. So our after-school program is around about 1,000 now. And then those youngsters will play in leagues. So we have under 7, under 9, under 12 in primary, and then in secondary we have under 14 boys and girls and open boys and girls. So there's been a significant growth of football in the youth. In terms of the adults, we have 10 men's teams right now and 4 ladies teams on Tortola and Virgin Gorda. So one of our challenges has been facilities because, as you know, the surface of the OA Shirley was taken off, so we couldn't play international games there. And we actually had to play our World Cup qualifiers away from home, which was obviously a disadvantage. So there's been a lot of growth and expansion. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the fact that we're an association that are fortunate because we get the money from FIFA, and that's absolutely true. But it's not that we just get a load of money and we can spend it how we want. It doesn't work that way. We have to propose for the funds that we get. So the funds are available, but we have to propose, and then we're audited on how we use the funds. So going forward, they've recently increased the amount of funding that's going to be available, which is very important because we're going to have the responsibility of running and maintaining the stadium. So there's no commitment from government at all to assist with that. That's our responsibility, the FA. So in terms of, of the funding we get from FIFA, we have to be very organised about how we administer that money, and we have to keep track of it and account to FIFA for it. Otherwise, we will not get it.
Okay. So football, from your accounts, football has grown tremendously, and with the new facility coming on stream, you're expecting greater growth. And now we are looking into sports, football in the BVI being a part of at least regional sports tourism.
Absolutely. I mean, the history in the territory is it's been mainly a sport for expatriates. Mm-hmm.
And I see more and more local kids
Right.
now getting involved, and I see the operation on the Greenland field during the season, and so I see the development.
Right, and that's very much changing because we have challenges at the present time because nobody can represent the British Virgin Islands in a FIFA competition unless they have a BVI British passport. So we have a good number of belongers playing the game. They're not eligible to play. That's been a major problem, and we've been making representations to FIFA. But in the longer term, as you say, in our youth program, the percentage of BVI Islanders British passport holders is much, much higher. So it's not a 2 or 3 year project. This is like a 5 to 10 year project. And if you look at our under 13s, under 15s, under 17s, the percentage of BVI Islanders coming through is gradually increasing. We recently sent the under 17s down to Suriname, and I think the squad was 18 players, and I think probably 13 or 14 of those were locally developed players with passports. We had to bring in 4 or 5 players to complete the squad, but that's at under 17. So if you drop down to under 15 and to under 13, the percentage is much, much higher.
Okay. Well, I noticed you have stolen some of the basketball players.
You've been pinching them from us.
You've been pinching the football and pinching the basketball players for football. A lot of the guys that were playing basketball are now playing football. So that's interesting. That's a good sign as well. Well, listen, we're going to be all the time virtually, and certainly it was great for you guys to come by and update us on the project's development, and we're looking forward to its completion and the benefits that's going to provide for the territory. Great job.
All right, thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Cool.
Nice to be here.
Yeah. All right. Yes, indeed. I want to thank you for watching Spotlight. I hope you enjoyed the program tonight. Of course, I thank my guests, Dr. Rubain and Honorable Penn and President Andy Bickerton, for appearing with me tonight and sharing all this very important information. Of course, Spotlight is seen every Tuesday here on JTV Channel 55 at 8 p.m. and rebroadcast on Sunday afternoons at 2:30. Watch Spotlight on demand at jtvlive.net. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/SpotlightBVI. Catch up with the latest spotlights and check for upcoming topics and guests. I'm Edjuenko, reminding you that when the spotlight is on, you see the facts. Peace and blessings.
Spotlight is brought to you by Ocean Conversion BVI Limited and BVI Tourist Board. We are one BVI.